means less agents in the street. This is common sense cooperation that allows us to draw down on the number of people we have here. Yes, I said it. Draw down the number of people here. Because we have the efficiency and safety of the jails and the prison. Matter of fact, I have staff from CBP and from ICE working on a draw-down plan. What does that look like based on the cooperation? What does that look like based on how many targets we have left to find? In my meetings with Governor Walz, A.G. Ellison, and Mayor Fry, as well as state and local law enforcement, again, I appreciate they all acknowledge that we do have federal immigration laws in this country that have been passed by Congress, and that ICE is in fact a legitimate law enforcement agency charged with enforcing those laws. We're not making this up, folks. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. They're a federal statute. That said, I'm not here because the federal government has carried this mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here is what I told you earlier. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything that's been done here has been perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect. And President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. That's exactly what I'm doing here. As such, in meetings I've had with federal law enforcement managers, including ICE and CBP and other federal partners, as well as state and local officials, I have conveyed the President's expectations with regard to federal immigration enforcement efforts. We will conduct targeted enforcement operations. Targeted. What we've done for decades. When we hit the streets, we know exactly who we're looking for. Good idea where we may find them. You have a criminal history. You have their immigration history. A lot of information about this person that we get from numerous databases out there. Targeted, strategic enforcement operations. That's traditionally been the case, and that's where we're going. That's what we're going to continue to do and improve upon that. With a prioritization on public safety threats. I want to be clear. I don't read a lot of social media. I don't read a lot of media. I don't believe half what I see. We are not surrendering the President's mission on immigration enforcement. Let's make that clear. Prioritization of criminal aliens doesn't mean that we forget about everybody else. That's just simply ridiculous. But when you have a criminal standing here and a non-criminal standing there, that criminal always should be targeted first because he's a significant concern to the safety and security of the community. By and large, for decades, ICE and CBP have carried out their duties with integrity, professionalism, and compassion. That remains the expectation under President Trump, and I will, hold our agents and officers to that standard. I'm almost done, then Tom can be Tom. As far as the agitators, that said, I want to reiterate and make very clear I want to make it clear, ICE and CBP officers are performing their duties in a challenging environment under tremendous circumstances, but they're trying to do it with professionalism. If they don't, they'll be dealt with. Like any other federal agency, we have standards of conduct. They are sworn law enforcement officers working tirelessly to enforce our country's border security and immigration laws, protecting the interests of our country and preventing dangerous people from walking the streets of this nation when they're not supposed to be here to begin with. Men and women of ICE, I was a Border Patrol agent. I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that came up through the ranks. I spent over 40 years doing this. These men and women that carry that badge and gun are American patriots. They put themselves on the line for this nation every day. But I want you to remember, they don't hang their badge, they don't hang their heart on a hook every day they come to work. They're mothers and fathers too. They're sons and daughters too. And if they've seen a fraction of the tragedies I've seen in my career, they take a lot of damage home to every day. The things they've seen, especially on the border with border collisions. People drowning in the river. Women being raped by criminal cartels. Giving CPR to a baby that was thrown in the river by the cartels because Border Patrol came too close. So let's throw the baby in the river. That way the Border Patrol was concentrating on that so I can get away. These men and women see some terrible things. But I want you to remember, they're mothers and fathers too. Many of them are members of this community. God bless every one of them. The hostile rhetoric and dangerous threats and hate must stop. And we all agreed to that. All everybody met here to tell you, we got to stop the rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric that has caused an increase in assaults. That has caused, because of that, having to send security teams out with arrest teams, which surge the city with additional resources because of the rhetoric, because of the threats, because of the assaults. Again, with the agreements we've achieved and following through the agreements, with the rhetoric dropping down, that allows us to pull more agents out once we feel the environment's safer. I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March if the rhetoric didn't stop, there was going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations. For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress. Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the President. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. I started with President Reagan and ending with President Trump. Every administration, we enforce the same laws. If you don't like what ICE is doing, instead of protesting this building, go protest Congress. Tell me we want changes. If you have your First Amendment rights, I support that. You have the right to protest. I'm just asking you to keep it peaceful. But threatening law enforcement officers, engaging in impeding and obstruction and assault is never okay. And there will be zero tolerance. You interfere, impede, assault an ICE officers, you will be arrested. Like I said a bit earlier in my meetings with Governor Walz and Ellison and Frey, as well as state and local law enforcement, I appreciate they acknowledge this, that public safety should be paramount. The chiefs I've talked to committed to responding to 911 calls when protesters turn violent, agents are in a dangerous situation, and there's assaults. They have committed to upholding public safety and responding to the needs, not to enforce immigration law, but to keep the peace. With that, I call upon those officials to stand shoulder to shoulder with us to tone down the dangerous rhetoric and condemn all unlawful action against law enforcement in the community. There are many ways your voice can be heard, express your feelings, and affect change in the country without crossing that line. Political and other disagreements in this realm should not be at the expense of public safety or the safety of federal law enforcement officers. In closing, I want to thank the state and local officials here in Minnesota that I met with and the many I'm going to meet with. We've had meaningful dialogue. And look, again, we didn't agree on everything, but we agreed on the things I just talked about. There's much more we can do. And I'm going to continue this dialogue. I got many more community leaders to talk to. I got many more sheriffs to meet. President Trump wants this fixed, and I'm going to fix it. with your help. I want to thank President Trump for his unwavering commitment to public safety and prosperity of every American.